Now for the eyelids bones, which are also bendy bone sets sequence, 2 splines, it's just good enough. This is for the top eyelid and this is for the bottom eyelid. So I need to pick this group here and then snap it to where I want it to be, the extremity, somewhere like that. Yeah. And then let's make some rotation and then rotate the z-axis pointing forward. Okay, that's it. Now again for this group. Now where I want to be the center between these 2 splines. Yeah, this is good enough. But we could think, oh, maybe it would be better being here, or depends a lot on the type of curve that we'll be having. Yeah, this is not so interesting. This is more interesting. It can be a bit tricky. I cannot guarantee what's best, but if we can at any time we can change this. What is a bit more difficult, however, is to create a new spline and put it in between. I think this is a bit more annoying to do. Okay, so this one will be about here. Let's rotate it properly. The shape here is important. And this, okay, it's already rotated. Accordingly, and this is, I guess it's the last one. To make sure it is on the eyelids mesh. Is this rotated? Yes. Is that aligned? Yes. Okay, now for the naming. First, of course, select all that, inverse selection, then move this to another new layer, which will be bone for the eyelids. Then I can hide that bone layer. Now the renaming, right? So this would be control eyelid top, bendy bone handler, left 001. Okay, bones, okay, looks good. Then let's do similar here, except bot or bottom. Okay, I see the names. Maybe don't see very well, but I guarantee it is working. Then for the bendy bones here, so now it's deform, eyelid top, bendy bone, take off handler, and 01, 02. Okay, and same here, except bot. 001, 002. Great. I made some mistake here. You see, I've put control. Oh, actually, find and replace. So I pick CTL, find CTL, replace with def. What about the eye contour? Just that these, the controllers, they got wrong, so def into control. There we go. Very easy to solve this. Let's go back here. Now names are not relevant. Let's change the size of these bones on edit mode. And same here, this will, let's augment the size of these handler controllers. Next, before wave painting and posing attempts, there are some bone constraints here for the, oh, on pose mode this got crazy, so let's rapidly fix this. And you see that these were also copied. I prefer the other one, so let's rapidly eliminate this. Perhaps I get better custom shapes. So what I require here, why is this suffering unusual? Ah, of course, these bones are suffering bone constraints still, so this is dangerous. Let's delete these things. I forgot about this detail. Now I need to create bone constraints for shrink wrapping, and I'm gonna shrink wrap this to the eye surface left mesh object. So it will shrink wrap to, you see, to that surface. It is here. Okay, so it is shrink wrapped to that surface. Well, there is a distance that I can make for that, and this won't really affect the mesh because the mesh is shrink wrapped, remember? But making the bone further away can sometimes help slightly, having less interpenetrations, but it won't really pull the mesh far away. So let's make a very slight protrude distance. One thing that is interesting here, remember that the z-axis for these control bones, I align them to the front, right, of the eye, so I can align to normal, but z-axis, actually do not be confused, this is the actual z-axis for this bone. So now as I pose that bone, it will rotate, roll itself, right, using its z-axis as a normal. Instead of on surface, let's put outside surface. Not that this will make any big difference. So let's pick all these bones, set this to active element, then pose, constraints, copy, and I don't need this thing also. So now I have a better posing system for these bones here. But I would require wave painting, lots of wave painting, right? But hopefully I have trained enough and made so many mistakes already, and I hope that this tutorial now will make it less challenging for everyone that is watching. Unfortunately, I've lost the voice on this video, so I had to make a voiceover for this clip. Okay, so I'm creating a new bone layer for the eyelashes, which would be only deform bones. I want octahedral because I want to see the direction properly. So now let's make some rotation here. I want this bone to be pointing towards the world positive y-axis, which is there. Then I'm gonna rename it. There will be 3 eyelash bones for the top eyelid and 3 eyelash bones for the bottom eyelid, and each one of those 3 bones, they respectively are going to be snapped, like copy location, right, bone constraint. They'll be snapped to one of the 3 bone handlers from the eyelids bones, bendy bone sets. So here I made the bones for the top and the bottom, then reshaping their appearance so they are slightly selectable, but at the same time they don't interfere with vision too much. Then I can start on edit mode a proper starting position for them. This is not necessary since they will follow bone constraints, but I like to keep this organized. With cursor to selected, I have the cursor to go immediately at the center of that active selection, while if I put select cursor to active, it goes to the head of the handler bone. After cursor to selected, I select the eyelash bone and selection to cursor. And then I need to repeat these steps for each of the eyelash bones. And then sometimes a strange thing happens in Blender, is that, or at least on this version, is that if the mouse is if the cursor is hovering another option on the spy menu, and even if I press 8, it will instead apply the other operator. So this is a bit strange, because depending on, I don't know, the area on the screen we open the pie menu, the cursor already starts hovering some options, so we cannot make like rapid number commands. This is already set up on edit mode. I need also to make the final organization on pose mode. So here I'm adding a copy location bone constraint for one set. So I want this bone to be exactly at the center between the head and the tail of the handler control bone, the target bone, right? And then I need to copy that bone constraint to all these eyelash bones. Copy constraints to selected bones, and then they all stack together in that same spot, because I need to differentiate the bone constraints, each of the bone constraints, because this is not automated in this approach that I've made. But this is simple. With Alt left mouse button click, I can pick from that stacking spot all the bones that were there. And of course there are still the transformation bone constraint for each one of the eyelash bones. This is one of the last stages.